I started to get these spots on my body. Like a lot of us who have cutaneous lymphoma, it's a long time before you actually get a diagnosis. I'm a very healthy eater, I exercise, and so the spots started to go more over my body, and then it started to attack my hands and my feet. And at first they said I had pityriasis. I do my research, it wasn't that. Just going back, this isn't it, this isn't it. They said I had psoriasis, they said I had eczema. So that started in 2012.
This is a disease where you need other people to be in your life in order to get through it. And that's partly why I think my mom has made it this far. She's had all of us, whether we annoy her, pester her, or lift her up.
At that point, they had given me a call on a Saturday night at like 9 o'clock at night and told me that I had something called CTCL, but I have actually a specific form of it called Sézary syndrome, which is a more aggressive form of it because it actually has a blood component to it. So I have the cancer cells actually that run through, not just in my skin, but it's in my blood. And so with that, it's an automatic stage 4 diagnosis.
Eric Shaw is David's little brother. They were best friends growing up and never grew apart. But in 2011, the same year David got his dream job at Stanford, Eric's life turned into a nightmare.
I would have itching attacks where I ended up actually tearing my skin. I would still scratch at night and wake up with bloody arms and legs and skin.
It would literally look like someone had pushed marbles under his skin. There were just tumors everywhere. I don't think we were expecting to hear how bad it was.
In 2013, Eric was diagnosed with mycosis fungoides, a rare form of lymphoma. He underwent radiation and chemotherapy to get the cancer under control.
It was extremely difficult, just mentally getting up and looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't recognize myself.
By 2018, doctors gave Eric a 50% chance at living just 2 more years, unless they could find a match for a bone marrow transplant.
Any cancer diagnosis is difficult, but rare cancers are especially challenging, both for patients as well as physicians. Rare cancers are extremely difficult to diagnose and treat, and options are often more limited, with fewer clinical trials and significantly less research funding available than for more common cancers. Making real medical progress in an orphan disease like CTCL, or cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, takes passion and persistence. It requires all of us, doctors, patients, friends, and family members, to band together and contribute what we can to make a difference. Thank you for being with us. My name is Paul Cavari, and I serve as the Carl J. Herzog Chair of Dermatology at Stanford Medicine. Tonight, we'd like to share with you the story of the doctors here at Stanford who are realizing the dream of precision medicine for rare cancers. Stanford's multidisciplinary cutaneous and T-cell lymphoma program, directed by Dr. Yun Kim in partnership with Drs. Richard Hoppe, Wen-Kai Wang, and Michael Hoderdust, has set a new standard. They've created a collaborative model of care and research that is improving lives for patients around the globe. The physician scientists you'll hear from this evening have dedicated their lives and careers to offer hope for patients with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, a rare form of non-Hodgkin's T-cell lymphoma. They've partnered with patients and families who've been impacted by this devastating disease, and they are now on the cusp of developing a novel, personalized immunotherapy with potentially curative effect. CTCL is not only rare, each case is unique, and its vast heterogeneity makes it much more difficult to treat than many other rare diseases. Put differently, there is no one-size-fits-all for CTCL diagnosis or treatment. Now, despite the steep scientific and funding challenges of devoting her career to a rare orphan disease like CTCL, Dr. Yun Kim has made it her life's mission to help patients with this disease after witnessing its devastating effects during her residency at Stanford. Recognizing the need to build a diverse scientific community to address CTCL, Dr. Kim joined the pioneering leadership of Dr. Rich Hoppe in recruiting leading researchers in human genetics, molecular pathology, and immunology to collaborate with clinicians to explore the underlying disease processes involved in CTCL in the laboratory. In fact, I myself was one of those researchers drawn to work on CTCL by Jan's enthusiasm and passion for helping patients with the disease. Jan persuaded me and other members of our basic science faculty at Stanford to apply our advanced genomics and molecular biology platforms to investigate the genomic landscape of CTCL. The studies we performed of genome regulation using state-of-the-art biocomputational tools and machine learning in our laboratory help us in general to map complex interplay between molecular variants that contribute to health and those that lead to disease. Several years ago, we applied these approaches with Jan and her team and published a study in the journal Nature Genetics that uncovered the genetic basis for CTCL, revealing the mutations responsible for this disease. Through the sequencing of patient tumor genomes, we were able to identify 170 genes with mutations related to CTCL. This study allowed us to take the blindfolds off and set the stage for future discoveries. Since the identification of these mutations, researchers around the world have begun a search for therapeutics to target them, including specific modulations of the immune system itself. As commonly happens in scientific research, uncovering the actual basis for a disease has now unlocked a cascade of opportunity to treat and prevent it. Using advanced methods, it's possible now to identify tumor surface markers that distinguish CTCL cells from healthy cells, and to understand the pathways hijacked by tumor cells that allow them to survive and proliferate. These characteristics can be used as biomarkers for diagnosis and treatment, opening new avenues to adapt and engineer treatments to stop the disease. It would take more than a lifetime for a single physician to see enough CTCL cases to draw any reasonable conclusions or learn anything about this disease that was new. The integration of science and medicine with large patient populations is what makes Stanford's multidisciplinary cutaneous and T-cell lymphoma program unique. Cohering a multidisciplinary team who makes it their life's mission to focus on this disease and having sustained philanthropic support to push progress forward while also leveraging the depth and expertise available at Stanford Medicine are all elements that are indispensable to progress. Dr. Kim's leadership has radically transformed our understanding of and approach to treating cutaneous lymphoma. Through collaborations at Stanford and around the world, she's bringing life-saving treatments to patients. Dr. Kim has written global treatment and staging guidelines that set the standard of care for CTCL. She's conducted more clinical trials and facilitated more new FDA approvals of therapeutics than anyone in the field. And she has assembled and led an international scientific consortium dedicated to creating a model of precision medicine in both health care for these patients and research. Dr. Kim's career was inspired by her mentor and program co-founder, Dr. Rich Hoppe, who it is my honor to introduce as our next presenter. With over 50 years of research and innovation in cutaneous lymphoma, Dr. Hoppe serves as the Henry S. Kaplan and Harry Levison Professor of Cancer Biology in the Department of Radiation Oncology.
In 1956, Dr. Henry Kaplan, who was chair of the Department of Radiology at the time, and Ed Ginston, director of the High Energy Physics Lab at Stanford, partnered to develop the first medical linear accelerator in the Western Hemisphere. More than 6 decades and many thousands of patients later, the linear accelerator remains the backbone of radiation therapy for cancer worldwide. Roughly half of all cancer patients receive radiation therapy. In 1962, Dr. Kaplan recruited medical oncologist Dr. Saul Rosenberg, and together they began a series of trials combining radiation from the linear accelerator with chemotherapy to treat lymphoma, an approach which dramatically improved patient survival. It was this extraordinary and exciting environment that I stepped into at Stanford as a trainee. Stanford played a seminal role in modern radiotherapy and combined modality treatment, especially for the lymphomas. Because of my interest in lymphoma and the availability of special radiation therapy techniques at Stanford, I became more interested in rare types of lymphoma affecting the skin, the cutaneous lymphomas. While many lymphomas that involve lymph nodes or internal organs are treated with a focused beam of X-ray radiation delivered to deep tissues in the body, cutaneous lymphomas often affect wide areas of the skin. More than 60 years ago, Stanford physicians found a way to use a less penetrating form of radiation, called electrons, to treat a broader area, and the Stanford total skin electron beam therapy technique was developed. The story of how that happened is an interesting one. There was a prominent businessman in the community who had generalized cutaneous lymphoma. He knew about the pioneering work with the medical linear accelerator being done by Henry Kaplan, and he asked Kaplan if the linear accelerator could be used for his treatment. Kaplan responded that it likely would be possible, but that he didn't have any research funding to explore that possibility. "No problem," replied the hopeful future patient. He provided a gift for research funding to develop the use of electrons for total skin therapy. Continuing to refine this effective treatment, we've conducted clinical trials to demonstrate that it's feasible to reduce the standard radiation dose, offering an option for treatment that remains effective, has fewer side effects, and can be used more often. Our team was the first to recognize the importance of these dose modifications in treating the cutaneous lymphomas, and the refinements we have made in technique are so notable that the use of total skin electron beam therapy is now known as the Stanford technique. It remains among the most effective and widely used treatments for cutaneous lymphoma worldwide. Since the cutaneous lymphomas also have the potential to affect many other parts of the body, the immune system, lymph nodes, blood, as well as the skin, I knew we would need a team approach to tackle all aspects of the disease. Of course, dermatologists always played a key role in the program. But in the early 1990s, we developed a more formal structure for a multidisciplinary cutaneous lymphoma clinic. It was one of the first interdisciplinary care models of its kind. We persuaded oncologists, dermatologists, pathologists, radiologists, and transplantation experts to align their schedules so that we could meet together with patients to conduct a comprehensive assessment and provide a customized treatment plan. By taking a team approach, we were convinced we could do better for our patients, and soon they began to come from all around the world to see us. Among the most important person to join this effort in its infancy was a bright young dermatology resident, Dr. Yun Kim. She was in her final year of her training. Her energy was boundless, and she had real leadership potential. It was clear she was moved by the suffering of many patients with cutaneous lymphoma, and that she had the ability scientifically to extend the reach of our clinic to incorporate newer therapies that were just being developed and that could benefit our patients. As she was rapidly becoming a world expert in cutaneous lymphoma and the number of patients we were seeing was increasing, we were able to capture more and more of her time. Eventually, with the generous help of Joan and Peter Haas Jr., we were able to arrange an endowed professorship for her to devote herself full-time to cutaneous lymphoma. Endowed professorships enable institutions like Stanford to recruit and retain the most talented faculty. In this case, it provided the freedom for Yun to focus fully in this disease area and to begin to develop an even more diverse, multidisciplinary clinic that made significant contributions and medical advances possible. Today, Dr. Kim holds the Joan and Peter Haas Jr. Professorship in Cutaneous Lymphoma Research and serves as the director of Stanford's Multidisciplinary Cutaneous Lymphoma Program. Partnering with Joan and Pete was instrumental in the early days to begin to think more expansively about the research and what we could achieve. Pete's ongoing support and partnership has been vital in our ability to sustain this unique multidisciplinary collaboration. It brings the best minds together in service to patients struggling with this rare cancer, not just at Stanford, but around the world.
The reason I went into cutaneous lymphoma as a dermatology background is that we see too many patients misdiagnosed, mismanaged. Patients are suffering. Obviously, we need to do better. These patients do die from that disease. It got me a little angry that when I've been to the FDA many times getting new drugs approved for this orphan disease, and even FDA used the word cosmetic problem. So, when the patients are suffering, cannot sleep, cannot do their daily function, to me that's not a cosmetic disorder. And then a condition that has a potential for death, those are not cosmetic problems. And sometimes the visual impact has much more life-affecting quality of life issues than any other internal cancers. So it makes me more passionate that we want to find better outcomes and to do some justice on behalf of the patients who are suffering. Because this cancer had such negative impact without a lot of questions answered, I decided to commit my career to making some contribution. Since I entered it, with all the advancements that have come out, I'm more into it and passionate about it.
It's hard to believe it's been over 30 years since I joined Rich Hoppe, and we started to build this multidisciplinary program that has now become the hope and model of success for our patients and collaborators. We have made tremendous progress, but now with new basic scientific discoveries and state-of-the-art tools, the tougher work is ahead of us. Rich and I began with expanding our clinical members to provide a truly stellar clinical program, which now serves as a national and international referral center for cutaneous lymphoma. Dr. Wenkai Wang from Stanford's Blood and Marrow Transplant Division joined our program to help explore blood stem cell therapies tailored for patients with advanced disease. We then expanded our translational discovery platforms and partners to find better and more broadly applicable solutions for our patients suffering from cutaneous lymphoma. To have reliably effective therapies, we needed innovative research to better understand the disease itself and to explore biomarkers that can better align patients with therapies. Stanford was a perfect environment to realize this goal, as we can leverage the world-leading science, cutting-edge tools, and Stanford's exceptional investigators. Also, the philanthropic culture at Stanford facilitated a very special partnership with Ginny and Pete Haas Jr., who empowered us to seek best and most efficient solutions and enabled us to succeed in recruiting key faculty, including Michael Kudadust. In rare diseases such as cutaneous lymphoma, we needed to build the collaborative partners not only at Stanford across disciplines, but also to work with other expert centers. A large-scale collaborative research network would be the fast-track path to finding meaningful solutions efficiently and effectively, especially in this rare disease. Supported by our generous philanthropic partners, Stanford catalyzed the establishment of an international cutaneous lymphoma consortium, CLIC, and has fueled the collaborative machinery, including the application of Stanford-made database solutions and development of essential biobanks. Utilizing this CLIC network, we have successfully completed large-scale projects involving more than 80 international centers, leading to impactful publications. Translating basic discoveries to the clinics is the Stanford way, and we have a history of innovation that has led to life-saving cancer therapies. We know how to take the problems that we see as physicians and apply scientific tools to come up with new options for our patients. In CTCL, Paul Cavari and partners have found key molecules or pathways that can be targeted with therapies. Rich Hoppe has shown us how we can integrate radiation methods smartly and effectively in treatment of CTCL. Wenkai Wang has led the work how we can harness the healthy donors' blood stem cells to provide a potentially curative path for our patients with advanced CTCL. These examples are only the beginnings of how we can integrate cutting-edge science into clinical practice to help our patients. Then, to elevate our science further, we now have the fortunate leadership of Michael Kodedost, a brilliant physician scientist who is committed to advancing immunotherapies in CTCL. We believe that immune therapies where we boost the patient's own immune system or supply patients with cells or factors that can fight their cancer is a key solution to how we can provide a better life quality and longevity for our patients. Stanford's multidisciplinary approach allows the most comprehensive and personalized precision management of each patient. Stanford's discoveries can be made global, utilizing the CLIC international collaborative machinery that we built. We offer the newest, most novel cancer treatments that address all stages of cutaneous lymphoma. It has been an absolute privilege and pleasure to be part of the multidisciplinary team and Stanford's scientific community, where the excitement for developing better therapies for our patients is so palpable. And we promise you that the best work is yet to come, especially under the exceptional leadership of our Michael Kodedost, the co-director and the lead for our translational program.
Cutaneous T-cell lymphoma is a cancer of lymphocytes, which are part of the immune system. While there are many different types of lymphomas, cutaneous T-cell lymphomas are characterized by involving the skin. Patients usually realize that something's wrong when they notice a rash. Cutaneous T-cell lymphomas are actually quite diverse. Some will be very indolent and may go undiagnosed for many years, while some types of lymphomas can be quite aggressive and progress very quickly.
Your skin is your largest organ, and sometimes I think that people have a tendency to forget that, and that's your first area of defense. And for me, it was really, really tough. And then also going into your 40s as a woman, every age has what it's all about, and it's about being confident in your own skin. And then all of a sudden having your skin fail you, wow, that was really, really tough.
For her to go from always wanting to be outside to being embarrassed to go outside because of her skin, it took support from all of us and our dad to, encourage her and show her that, although she might feel like she's not beautiful on the outside, that she still is.
Patients with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma have actually struggled oftentimes many years before they can arrive at a diagnosis. It's very difficult to diagnose. You need to have a physician with a high suspicion for lymphoma to actually come up with a diagnosis. Some patients, the itch can be so bad they can't sleep at night, they lose rest. It's also difficult psychologically. If you think of a cancer that you see every day, when you look in the mirror, you can't really escape that you are dealing with this issue. Stanford has taken a multidisciplinary approach. We've realized that one person is not sufficient to treat this illness because it is so complex. It really does take a team. We have formed the multidisciplinary cutaneous T-cell lymphoma program designed to incorporate physicians with different areas of expertise: dermatology, oncology, radiation oncology, and even bone marrow transplantation, where we see the patients together, we discuss the patients together, and we come up with a plan together that integrates all of our expertise. That's really what set our program apart, the real collaborative spirit between the different providers.
And so I had made an appointment with Dr. Kim, and when I walked in, you just had this glow of a human being that absolutely cared, that came up and put her hand around my shoulder, which means the world, especially when you have something that makes you feel really ugly. It was from day one, I felt like I could put my life in her hands, which is exactly what I did.
One of the biggest reasons that I've gravitated towards immunotherapy is that it often will offer the chance for a long-term response because it leverages the immune system in the patient's body to continue to fight cancer cells. As I began to treat patients with T-cell lymphomas, we began to gain more and more evidence in our patients that their immune systems are already recognizing the lymphoma as the enemy. We have really zeroed in on that particular target for T-cell lymphoma. And we think that this is maybe of all the targets in all cancers, we honestly believe that this particular target may be one of the best ones to study because we never see it outside of a cancer cell. Really, the only reason that this has not made it into a therapy is the difficulty of finding the target for each patient, which is a problem we think we've solved, but then making a therapy for each patient is the barrier that we're trying to overcome now.
Dr. Kim coming into the room one day was like, I have this great, amazing candidate. He's this incredible scientist. He's passionate, he's smart, and we really want him here at Stanford, and I want him to be part of the team. She had, from the very beginning, when they were doing their interviews, spoke extremely highly of Dr. Kodadost. And I just remember the first day when he came into the room, because whenever you have an appointment at Stanford, it's the whole entire team comes into the room.
Which has been great with Dr. Kodadost. You know, we went down and he showed us his lab one day, and it was honestly the most fulfilling experience. It was just pure excitement to show us, everything that my mother has contributed to this cancer research, and them working together has been a really, I think, interesting and fulfilling partnership.
When a T cell turns into a lymphoma T cell, every one of them has the same target on their surface. Because of that, we can train the immune system to actually attack the target of the T cell, because we're trying to recruit T cells, good T cells, to attack the bad T cells. They're designed to attack viruses, designed to attack bacteria, but we're trying to tell them to attack their brothers that have turned bad.
The hard thing about cutaneous lymphoma is the fact that every single patient reacts to the drugs differently. So I think that with Dr. Kodadost and Dr. Kim, he is able to bring his research with the T-cell lymphoma and actually make it specific to a patient. I could be taking one drug, she could take the other drug, or he could take the other drug, and they're going to have a completely different effect or no effect at all. And so I think that they're able to do more targeted therapies that I'm really hopeful for.
Our immune system, as it reacts to viruses and bacteria, it turns on to fight an infection. But then after the infection's gone, it needs to turn back off. And cancer cells have learned the off switch. And what they've done is they surround themselves in the off switch. So a good T cell that wants to come in and fight the cancer cell immediately gets turned off, and it sits there. The drugs that have really revolutionized cancer therapy are designed to block the off switch. So the cancer cells no longer have a way to shut down the immune response, and it's really just the natural immune response coming in. I think very elegant that we're using our natural defenses to fight cancer.
But I also think that being diagnosed has led to some pretty great discussions, and it's also brought us together very tightly as a family to really support each other.
Philanthropic support is extremely important for our research, and part of that is because the treatments we want to explore and develop are often higher risk treatments that many funding sources and companies don't want to invest the time or money into because they're worried that it won't succeed. But philanthropic support really gives us the ability to go for the big changes that we think we can make. Some of our most exciting research is being driven by philanthropy at this point.
I have so much faith in Dr. Kodadost and Dr. Kim. In my heart, I feel that they are so close to finding a cure. And when I'm asking somebody to go and do research for an orphan disease, I, in confidence, can say that whatever they find is going to be able to help a larger group of people with cancer.
It's the patients that inspire me to do this every day. Seeing them in clinic, we see them week after week going through these struggles. We know that the therapies that we have to offer are not good enough. The spirit of patients going through this, their optimism, their hope really feeds ours, and we want to give that back to them as well. How can we get them the treatments they need? And we know that there's an urgency to do it, so that really drives us. The main item on our wish list right now is our goal in the next couple of years to develop a new investigator-initiated trial here at Stanford for patients with cutaneous T-cell lymphoma that is designed to translate the work that we're doing here in the lab into patients. And that is going to be first of its kind trial. Because of that, we are going to need a lot of resources. And so that's what we're building towards, trying to make that a reality.
We all come into this world and we all exit this world. We come in with a breath, we exhale on our way out. And I want to make the most out of it. And the silver lining it is to be able to help this amazing community at Stanford and Dr. Kim and Dr. Kodadost in their research. And by me having this, no matter how long I'm here for, to be able to help other people, I get really excited about that.
I needed a miracle, and that miracle was going to come in the form of my brother.
Doctors wanted to try a third transplant, using David as the donor. The chance of success was under 40%, but he was all they had left. The Stanford head coach would need 5 straight days of side effect-inducing treatments to prepare for his bone marrow donation.
I had to start on a game day to go to the hospital, and I didn't want to alert the team because this was a family thing. This was something just had to be done. Later that day, as we got into the game, I started to feel it in my knees. I started to feel it in my hips. It feels like carrying a 50-pound backpack. And I just kept thinking about, this is for Eric.
5 days later, David spent 8 hours at the hospital donating his stem cells. On Thursday, November 1st, those cells were given to Eric. 2 days after the transplant, David was in Seattle, back on the sideline.
I remember it being a difficult game. I remember it being a tough environment. I felt like I was walking like a sloth. And I thought about, man, I hope Eric's doing okay. God, I hope this works.
They did blood tests, they did skin biopsies. The tests came back completely negative, no cancer.
I remember telling the team when my brother was diagnosed, but when I told him he was cancer-free, it was crazy, right? It was like we had just won a game in quadruple overtime. I mean, there were guys jumping on me, picking me up and hugging me, and I kept so much of it from them, but they knew.
7 years of battling this disease, and it was over. A miracle. There's people that are saved every day because somebody made the choice to become a donor. For me, it was my brother. The bond that we have now, we're truly blood brothers.
You're now a cancer survivor. And I would have to say, being able to say that we can save patients is the greatest thing.
Stanford's multidisciplinary cutaneous and T-cell lymphoma program has played critical roles in developing many promising treatments, with others still to come. With your help, the research team aims to achieve its most ambitious goal yet, to develop a novel immunotherapy with lasting impact. Your support is vital. Never has it been a more exciting time to make progress in biomedical research, but never has it been more costly to do so. Pharmaceutical companies tend not to invest in the costly development of highly personalized therapies. With your help, we can overcome this barrier in an effort to bring life-changing positive impact to patients with CTCL and their families. Tonight, we are announcing a goal to raise $5 million over 5 years to support Jan, Michael, and Rich and the team. We have already received an extraordinary commitment from Ginny and Pete Haas to support the program's core research operations. This means that the support you give will directly accelerate groundbreaking immunotherapy research. Stanford physician scientists we'll be able to go full force in pursuit of a moonshot to create a drug for cutaneous lymphoma with lasting durable effect. Furthermore, the work will serve as proof of concept that personalized medicine for rare orphan diseases is possible. We invite you to come alongside the Shaw family and to join Jen Varela, Ginny and Pete Haas, and others in our shared vision to give patients with this rare cancer a fighting chance. You'll be invited to complete a short survey at the end of this program and to connect with our faculty more personally. We are planning a series of upcoming Zoom conversations. The first will be hosted by Dr. Michael Hoderdust and Jen Varela. With your help, we aim to conduct and expand life-saving research, encourage worldwide collaborations, and develop new therapies to provide lasting solutions for patients everywhere who suffer from this rare cancer. And as a supporter, you will become an extension of this incredible team, on a mission to save lives and transform cancer research and treatment. Thank you for your interest and for spending time with us this evening. We look forward to connecting with you again soon, and good night.